There we go. All right. So, right, last time we covered pie charts. This time we're covering Pareto charts, right? And like I said, a Pareto chart is just a bar graph, right? With a little modification, right? Just like I told you before, a histogram is a type of bar graph where all the bars are touching each other. A Pareto chart is just a bar graph where it doesn't care if they're touching each other or not, but what it does care about is the order of your bars, right? The order of your bars need to be positioned in decreasing order, right? In decreasing order. So whatever your highest value is, that would be your first entry into your bar graph. And then you just work your way down. So this would be, you know, the largest, so it'd be first, and then this would be the second largest, the third largest, and then the smallest, right? You work your way from highest all the way down to lowest, and that's all a Pareto chart is. It's just a bar graph from highest to lowest, right? Whereas a histogram is just a bar graph where they're touching and they go in a particular like data set order, whereas a Pareto chart goes based off of the categories from highest frequency to lowest frequency. And if you're like not going to be talking too much, let me just show you what it is then. Also, that's rude. All right, so let's take a look at this example of a Pareto chart, right? In a recent year, the retail industry lost $36.5 billion in inventory shrinkage. Can you imagine how much? Can you imagine how much money that is? $36.5 billion was lost in inventory shrinkage, right? Inventory shrinkage is the loss of inventory through breakage, pilferage, shoplifting, and so on, right? The causes of inventory shrinkage are administrative error, right? Administrative error, and administrative error cost them $5.4 billion in losses. Employee theft cost them $15.9 billion in losses. Shoplifting was 12.7 billion, and vendor fraud, which is 1.4 billion. Using a Pareto chart, organize this data using a Pareto chart. So let's go ahead and take a look here, right? You look at the values here that's listed right there, and you kind of just look, what's the highest value of that you have on this chart? And the highest value, I hope you guys will see it, it's right here. The highest value is this employee theft, right? Yeah, very good, Claudia. It's employee theft. And that's how I'm going to draw my my bar graph. I'm going to start with this one first. And that's exactly what they did. Employee theft was started off first, and they went up to what the value was, which was $15.9 billion, right? That's the highest one there. And I would say that, oh, man, so most companies are losing money from their employees stealing. Oh, I'm sorry, dog. I stepped on her tail. Oh, I just stepped on my dog's tail, and she's very, like, she's not mad, but I think she's going to leave the room now. Poor dog. I'm sorry. Oh, she's fine. She got it toy. Okay, anyways. So that's the first one. Second one is shoplifting, right? And that would be the second one right here, right? Third one is administrative error. And the last one is vendor fraud. And you just put it in bar graph in that order. I feel bad. She's okay. She's okay. Okay, so this next one up would be $12.7 billion. This would be $5.4 billion. And the last one is $1.4 billion. Give her a treat. Yeah, she's already gone. But when she comes back, I'll give her a treat. She'll be okay. She'll be okay. She didn't whimper. I actually stepped on just the fur because she's a long-haired German Shepherd. So I didn't actually step on like her physical tail. I just stepped on like the fur part. All right. Anyways, looking at this, what's the interpretation we can make here? Right? Interpretation we can make is the largest amount of losses comes from employee theft. Which, hey, oh, you come in here? No, you're just playing with your toy? All right, all right. Oh, all right. Who is it? Isabella's telling me I should give you a treat. Can I get it down? Yeah, good girl. Here you go. All right. There. Give her a treat. Now she's relaxing. Good girl. Yes. Okay, so largest amount of losses comes from employee theft, which makes me laugh a little bit because I think we all have that one friend who works in retail who, you know, they're a little shady. Guess I'll run the business myself then. Who borrows? Yeah. They do suspicious things. Anyways, that's a Pareto chart, by the way, right? The Pareto chart is simply a bar graph from highest to lowest, and that's all it is. And when you look at this, right, it allows you to see right off the bat, what's the greatest and what is not the greatest. You just huff at me. There you go. Okay, so let's take a look at the next one, right? Let's take a look at the next one. So we're looking at this guy right here. Every year, the Better Business Bureau receives complaints from customers, right? If you guys aren't familiar with the Better Business Bureau, it's where you go and complain about a company, right? And they keep records of how many people complain. In a recent year, the BBB received the following complaints. So at a home furnishing store, right? Home furnishing store like, IKEA or Bob's Furniture or whatever, they recorded 7,792 complaints. For a computer sales and service store, they recorded 5,733 complaints. For an auto dealer, they received 14,668 complaints. For auto repair shop, they received 9,728 complaints. And last one, it looks like dry cleaning companies received 4,649 complaints. Right? Damn, that's a lot of Karens. It might not be a Karen, it just might be a regular complaint. Right? I don't know if you guys ever dealt with an auto dealership before, especially if it's like a used car place. If you ever dealt with a used car place, like there's like if they see that you're not used to buying a new car or buying a used car or buying a car for yourself for the first time, they will try their darndest to like rip you off, charge you like the highest amount for the car that's not worth that value. Right? So by the way, if you guys are seniors now, if you haven't gotten a car yet, or you're going to get a car after you graduate and you're going to get yourself a used car, take someone who is experienced and knows how to do that stuff. Don't go by yourself. They will sign you up with like the worst deal. All right, so just keep that in mind. Make sure you have someone who knows something about cars when you go there. And that is a lot of complaints, right? So right off the bat, can you guys see what's the highest complaints that were recorded? And I hope you guys can see the highest complaints is going to come from the auto dealers, right? They're at 14,000, right? So don't write this part down right now, but this is what I would do back when we were doing this by hand, right? I would draw myself a chart like this, and I'd say in the bottom here, this would be auto dealers, right? And then I would draw my bar graph up to like that, and I'd say this is 14,668. And I'm supposed to make the number line here. This is like 14,000, right? This would be 13,000, right? 12,000. And I don't know if I gave myself enough space, but I'm supposed to work it all the way down to like 0,000 zero complaints, right? But I'm not gonna have you do this by hand. That's just really annoying, right? Why do this by hand when we have tools that will help us do this help us do this ourselves? Man, English is hard today. But yeah, we have tools that will draw these Pareto charts for us instead of us doing it by hand. Right? Instead of just doing it by hand. Are you growling at someone? What's going on? Here. Okay, so what's the tool that we're going to use? Well, hopefully you have the link saved from last time, right? The link saved from last time was to help us make a pie chart, but not only will it make the pie chart, it will also do a Pareto chart, right? It will also do a Pareto chart. But it won't say Pareto chart on there, right? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put this in the chat. To get the Pareto chart, right, we're going to be using the bar. Hey, teaching class here. Can you not? Oh, we're going to be using the bar chart on there instead. So I'm going to put that in there, bar chart, and put the link in here as well. So there you go. All right. Sorry about that. So let me go ahead and open this up. You guys open up the link, right? And it's back over here. You guys can see it. So yeah, you saw this last time, right? There was the pie chart that we used right here, and this same site we're going to be using to help us make the Pareto chart. And hopefully you guys are paying attention. Like I just said, if you're come here and you're like, knock me, there's no Pareto chart here, right? Remember, we're using the bar chart to help us with the Pareto chart, because the Pareto chart is just a bar chart, but from greatest to lowest. So can you guys go ahead? We're going to click on this one right here, which is the bar chart, and we're going to go down and put the info into this right here. So first one up is the design. Do you want it horizontal? Do you want it vertical? Pareto chart needs to be a vertical bar chart. There are going to be some charts that you learn, I don't think in this class though, where the charts are going to come out horizontal. But for the Pareto chart, we're going to make it vertical. And it doesn't matter if it's normal or if it's 3D. I'm going to go with normal. If you guys want to be extra, you can go with 3D if you want. I'm going to go over here to data. And this is where the important stuff is, right? The data is where we're going to type in our info. And right now, there's only enough for one section, which is one bar, which is not enough. I need to have how many bars? Let's go look at our data. How many bars are we going to be dealing with here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces of data, right? And I hope you guys noticed that I put the numbers there. It looks like it's out of order, but it's because it's going in descending order, right? With the highest, second highest, third highest, fourth highest, and then the least amount. So it's working its way from greatest to lowest, right? So I need 5 sections. So I'm going to go here, number of items, change that 1 to a 5. So I have 5 bar graphs, and I'm going to put my things here in order, right? I'm not going to go based off of this order. I'm not going to go furnishing stores, then computer sales, then auto dealers, right? I'm going to go from greatest to lowest. So the first section I'm going to put in there is actually going to be my auto dealers, right? My auto dealers needs to go first because that's the highest number I have. It has a value of 14,668, right? Next one up after that, if I go back and look at my data, it is the auto repair shops, right? That's the auto repair, repair shops, right? Auto repair shops. And for the auto repair shops, that's going to be 9,728, which, by the way, looks like it's another high value for complaints. That's because people will end up going to auto repair shops that are like they're not used to. Try to find yourself. That's another thing you need to do as an adult, guys. After you get your car, find a mechanic that you trust, and then go to them for like the rest of their lives, right? Go to the same mechanic over and over again. Make sure it's someone that you can trust, and they're not just there to like, temporary fix it. So they end up going back and forth so they can take all the money from you. Find a shop that you can trust. Ask someone if they know someone that is good that you can trust. All right. Anyways, next one up is going to be home furnishing stores. Home furnishing stores like IKEA or Bob's Furnitures or whatever furnishing store you go to. This one had 7,792 complaints, not as high as the auto repair shop, so it's a little bit lower. Right. Next one after that is computer sales and service. Right. Computer sales and service stores that had 5,733 complaints. And last but not least is dry cleaning companies, dry cleaners. Right, the dry cleaning, just type it out, can't spell apparently, dry cleaning companies. Right, the dry cleaning companies had a total of 4,649 complaints. Right, and you just fill it out like that. Make sure you do it in order. That's all the Pareto chart is that you have it from highest to lowest, right? You have it from highest to lowest. And then once you do that, you can go ahead and color code the bars however you want. You can have them all the same color. You can have them different colors. It doesn't really matter. All that matters is it goes from highest to lowest, right? But yeah, I think what I like about this is just the fact that you get to color code this, right? Yeah, so that's in there now, and we can go to the labels, right? And I can title this out, right? This is number of complaints filed to the BBB, the Better Business Bureau, right? And the y-axis label is going to be the number of complaints. You need to do this, by the way? No, you don't need to put these values in there. I like to put them on there just so that when I look at the graph, I can actually see those things showing up. You can mess with the font colors as well, font sizes as well, but I'm just going to go ahead and leave that basic right there. So this is what would show up, by the way, when you highlight it. The y-axis label would be on the side right there, and the title would be at the top. So I'm going to go ahead and hit display. Bam. And there is my Pareto chart from highest to lowest, right? And what's nice about this site, like I said, since you guys are on Chromebooks and you're doing this onto your Kami, you could just download this onto your Google Drive and then just paste it onto your Kami. Or you could screenshot it if you want. If you don't want to download things and you just want to hit the screenshot, just in case you forgot how to screenshot, right? Here's the buttons for you right now. I'll put this back up. If you're on a Chromebook, you hit Control, you hold Control, then you hold Shift, and then you press the button up here. So you don't press them all at the same time. I noticed that one of my students asked me about that. It's like it wasn't working because they were jamming all three buttons at the same time. You hold Control, then you hold Shift, then you press that button at the top. Right? So hold Control, hold Shift, then press that, then your screen will go dark, and you drag your mouse to where you want to screenshot. If you're on a Windows computer, it's going to be the Windows key, Shift, and then S. And for you rich folks, if you guys have a Mac, it's going to be the Command button. Yeah, Command, Shift, and then I think it's the number 4 on the key on the row right here. So different ways to screenshot. I'm going to go ahead and screenshot this right now. And if that's too much, again, you can just download. You just hit download, and it'll download this chart for you as well. But I'm going to go ahead and screenshot this. So when I press this, I don't know if you guys can see it, but my screen goes dark. I'm going to go ahead and select from here to here. And then I'm going to paste it into my notes. You guys can't paste it, though. You guys have to insert the image. So that's why you guys need to save it either onto your Drive or your Chromebook. And then insert the picture onto your Kami instead. And there we go. Oh, that's still too big. Let's make that a little bit smaller so it fits nicely in there. There you go. How's that? Let's see here. There we go. Ta-da! And that's our Pareto chart. Right? That's our Pareto chart. And what we can interpret from this is basically auto dealers has the most complaints in this recent year. Right? Auto dealers had the most complaints received to the BBB. Right? And that's your Pareto. Right? It's not too bad, right? It's like, yeah, it's not too bad. Hopefully you guys can see that. It's just a bar graph, but from highest to lowest. Yeah. All right. So where do I go to make your pie chart? You go to MetaChart, right? Where do you go to make your Pareto chart? You go to MetaChart, right? That site will do either one of those things for you, right? And in fact, it even does the next thing that I'm going to show. The next thing I'm going to show is the scatter plot. Are you guys okay for me to move on? I'm going to scroll down here. You guys okay with what we got? Were you guys able to get your own bar chart? If not, I'll put it back on the screen here real quick just so you can take a screenshot real quick. All right, make sure you get that in there. Yeah, and get that into your notes. And again, if you don't have it yet, you can always go back onto Canvas and look at these notes online after I'm done. They'll all be there, and you can screenshot from there as well. Okay, I'm gonna move on to this next part. Before we go today, I got about 5 minutes left here. I wanted to talk about this guy right here, which is the scatter plot, right? The scatter plot. Hopefully you guys have seen scatter plots before. You should have seen it in your other IM1. Do you learn scatter plots in IM1? I think it's IM1 or IM2. I forget. Or is it IM3? It's one of the previous classes. I'm pretty sure you learned about scatter plots before, because then you have to make the decision if there's any correlation between the two data that you're looking at, right? So a scatter plot is just an ordered pair of graphed. Ordered pairs are graphed as points in the coordinate plane. So what's different about this one from like a pie chart or a Pareto chart is that the X value is also numerical, right? It's also a quantitative value, not a qualitative value. Whereas if you saw the Pareto chart, right, we talked about auto dealers, auto repair shops. Those are qualitative values. They're all names, right? Like dry cleaning store, employee theft. Those are all qualitative values. For a scatter plot, the X values are going to be quantitative. They're going to be numerical values along with the Y values, okay? So let's take a look at one right here. Let's take a look at a pie chart. A scatter plot right here, right? The British statistician Ronald Fisher introduced a famous data set called Fisher's iris data. This data set describes the various physical characteristics such as petal length and petal width in millimeters for 3 species of irises. The petal length form the first data set and the petal width form the second data set. So these dots right here represents different petals, right? So if I was looking at, for example, this dot right here, right? That looks like it's about 30, 11. What this represents is it has a petal length of 30 and a petal width of 11 millimeters. So if I were to draw out this petal, right, it looks something like that, right? Where the length from here to here is 30 and the width from here to here is 11. And that's all these dots. They're just different petals that this guy went out and measured, right? He measured one petal that had a length of 30 and a width of 11. He measured another one that had a length of 10 and a width of 3, it looks like. And he just dotted all of them out, right? And that's all a scatter plot is just 2 numerical values being compared with each other, right? So he measured one that was like 68 inches or 68 millimeters, and it had a width of like 23. So it was like super, I don't know how long millimeters are. I guess it's pretty short. But yeah, he was able to see that like as the petal length, and this is what I would write down, looking at the scatter plot, right? I would write down as, I can see that as petal, I don't know why that spacing is so bad. Oh my God, I did it again. As petal length, my goodness, I'm having a rough day. As petal length increases, right? As petal length increases, what else would you say is increasing? As petal length increases, so does the petal width. Petal width, I would say, right? So does that make sense? As long as the petal length is increasing, so does the petal width increases, right? And we'll talk more about scatter plots tomorrow. All right, I'm going to stop us there before I get too far into this. So today we covered a Pareto chart and we started the scatter plot. Okay. So if you guys have a quiz tomorrow, which I don't know if we will, but if we do, I don't think I'll put the scatter plot on there because we haven't done it yet. And Pareto chart's just a little too simple, I'd say. I guess on the Pareto chart, the only thing I could ask is which one would be first, right? Which one would be first and which one would be the greatest one on there, which hopefully wouldn't be too bad. Anyways, that's me talking too much. Let's wrap it up here. We're going to do this example next time where we make a scatter plot using this right here as my X values, and this right here will be my Y values. And we're going to draw the dot plot for this guy next time. Okay? And that's it, guys. I'll see you guys on Tuesday. Right?